Hey everyone, it's Steve here from socialtransformation.us. So I was just showing you guys a survey question that I asked on my Twitter. I asked people, how much empathy do you have? And so far, about 50% of you put that you experience high empathy. And I thought that was interesting. It didn't really surprise me too much because I've seen studies in the past showing that people who have anxiety issues, social anxiety especially, tend to rank higher on levels of empathy. So there's always been a correlation there between anxiety disorders and experiencing high amounts of empathy, which kind of makes sense. I know I've always been a fairly sensitive person, and that's definitely contributed to my social anxiety. It's really hard for me to look at people in the face, to make eye contact, because I become overwhelmed with what I'm reading, the messages that I'm getting from that person. So being extremely empathetic and being very attuned to other people can sort of heighten your anxiety because someone might flash a very quick micro expression of disappointment or anger or sadness, and I'll perceive that and it'll make me anxious. So I've always been very self-conscious about myself and the reactions that I get from people. So being really attuned to those negative signals that people might be sending can definitely heighten your anxiety and make you more socially anxious. So there's definitely an interesting relationship there between anxiety and empathy. Now, that can often be seen as a bad thing. People might think they are too sensitive, they have too much empathy, and that sort of inhibits them from being able to have conversations with people or being able to interact with people without becoming too anxious. But we have to also remember that it's obviously a good thing in many ways to be a very sensitive person. It allows you to understand people on a level that maybe people who don't have as much empathy, who don't have as much sensitivity, might be aware of. Now, I remember one time I was at a bar with a couple friends, and one of the friends I was with, she met up with this random guy at the bar, and I was just sort of listening to them talk. They were having a normal conversation about music, what bands they liked, and things like that. And then after the conversation, I was like, wow, so you really liked him, huh? And she's like, how did you know that I liked him? I was like, I could see, your body language. And she was swinging her leg in between his legs. And I sort of perceived that as something that she was into him, that she was comfortable with him, that was sort of a flirtatious thing. Whenever people break personal boundaries from a body language standpoint, that sort of signals that there's some sort of attraction or connection there. So I mentioned that to her. It's like, wow, I didn't even notice I was doing that. You're really observant. And so she wasn't even aware of her body language and what she was signaling to this guy, but I was aware of it. I was picking up on the signals because I'm sort of sensitive to that type of thing. I'm sensitive to people's body language. I'm sensitive to people's facial expressions. I'm sensitive to people's reactions to things. So while that can be something that increases anxiety, it's also extremely beneficial because you're able to read people at a level that they're not even aware of half the time. So, the next time you think of yourself as maybe too sensitive, remember that that's not always a bad thing. And that means that you're attuned to people, that you're actually picking up this wealth of signals, verbal and nonverbal, that they're sending to you. So being a sensitive person can be a very good thing, especially if you learn how to manage that sensitivity and know when to turn it up and when to turn it down. Because being sensitive to other people means you're being open to them, and it means that you're attuned to them. So that's definitely a positive aspect of being a sensitive person. So I hope you guys remember that the next time you find yourself being too sensitive. So anyway, that's just what I wanted to share with you guys today. I hope you guys are enjoying your week, and I will talk to you again soon. Later.